Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast battle report. Today, Champions of Fenris versus Dark Eldar in a maelstrom of war, a deadly deadlock in the Cities of Death table. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast battle report. Today, the Champions of Fenris, second place at the Michael Mudd Memorial Tournament, face off against the Dark Eldar army. We're playing Deadlock, 6 Maelstrom objectives on turn 1. It is Night Fight, and it's Hammer and Anvil deployment. The Space Wolves won the deployment zone role, and they picked this deployment zone that has 4 objectives in it, leaving the Dark Eldar with but 2 objectives in their deployment zone. The Space Wolves player has allowed the Dark Eldar player, forced them to take first turn after seeing the Dark Eldar deploy a unit of jet bikes and the Trueborn only on turn 1, leaving the rest of the army in reserve. We have a Crusader deployed with all the bells and whistles, 5 Thunderwolves with storm shields, 1 with a claw, 1 with a fist, a Thunderwolf Lord with a hammer and a shield, and an Iron Priest with a Cyber Wolf on there as well. We also have a Sakaran battle tank with a once per game use Interceptor Skyfire special rule thingy, and Longfang pack in the backfield. Warlord traits, we have a fearless Champion of Fenris leading the Thunderwolves, and in reserve they have 1 Battle Servitor that will be coming on to hold an objective later in the game. Now we're moving on to turn 1. Stay tuned as through this ruined city, hilarity will ensue.
Dark Eldar, turn 1 movement.
First turn, High Command has given them Recon, Hungry for Glory, Secure Objective 4, no prisoners, and Secure Objective 6. Secure Objective 6 is here between the Thunderwolves. Secure Objective 4 is back here. The jet bikes have taken Objective 1 by hiding in this building back here for 1 point to the Dark Eldar. Meanwhile, the Splinter Cannon Trueborn opened fire into the Thunderwolves and all saves were made. The Dark Eldar will get rid of Hungry for Glory and will hold on for the second turn. The wolves howl in the darkness.
The Space Wolf forces advance towards the center of the table, putting pressure on the Dark Eldar lines.
Turn 1. The wolves have advanced in cautious form. High Command telling them to secure Objective 3, 2, 6, and 4 twice. Lots of shooting saw 3 of the Trueborn go down, but they are to ground and they held, soaking up a lot of firepower. And the Thunderwolves failed to run far enough to get that objective. So now we're looking at 3 points for the Space Wolves and only 1 point to the Dark Eldar. But more importantly, the Space Wolves have used 3 of their cards, and they will be picking up more cards next turn. We're looking at reserves for the Dark Eldar. So we have the Grotesques and the Autarch. They are staying off the board. We have 2 Venoms, one with Witches and one with Warriors. And I will keep them both off the board. We have a Cabalite unit in a Raider, and I will be bringing them on the table. We have a Ravager, and he is off the board. The Razorwing is going to come on the board. The Warwalkers are going to come on the board. The Warp Spiders are coming onto the table, and the Mandrakes are going to come onto the table as well. So we'll be back after this.
The Dark Eldar reserves arrive, trying to put some pressure on the Space Wolf lines to get some points in the second turn.
We had ascendancy. So 3 objectives, and my reserves arrived, and also, so that was the only card I grabbed. I took objective 6 with the jet bikes here. Razorwing, Ravager, Warriors came in to secure that objective there. And then the Warwalkers outflanked on the back flank over there, while the Mandrakes moved up on here, and the Warp Spiders deep struck back here to capture objective 5, killing all but one of the Longfangs who survived the onslaught of shooting. And I put 1 hull point on the Sakaran, who had tried to intercept the Warwalkers to no effect. And we're moving on to turn 2 for the Wolves.
Space Wolf, turn 2, they spread out to do some damage.
The Crusader charged into the Warp Spiders, killed 3. They survived. They hit and run out of the combat. The Iron Priest charged into the jet bikes, killing them for first blood, while the Thunder Wolves have broken off and have gone to secure objective 4. High Command for the Space Wolves has ordered them to secure objective 2 once again. So at the end of the turn, the Space Wolves with first blood have added a grand total of 6 points to their total. It is now 9 points to the Space Wolves and 4 points to the Dark Eldar. But we do have reserves that come on the board. So we have a Venom with Witches that will arrive. We have a Venom with Cavalite Warriors that will stay off the table. We have the Raider with the Grotesques that will stay off the table. And then we have the Lamian that will come onto the board. The Mandrakes finished off the lone Longfangs. The Warwalkers tried to shoot at the scatter-fielded, smoked Sakaran and failed to do any damage, while the Warp Spiders finished off the Iron Priest who was shot by the Razorwing and a Venom and Warriors and a Raider, but they finished them off to capture objective 6. Meanwhile, the Trueborn in the Ruin killed one of the Thunder Wolves, and I did capture objective 6. Recon was a point for me, and I claimed no prisoners by destroying an enemy unit in his turn. Bringing my total up to 7, the Space Wolves are now still at 9 points. I have decided to keep domination to see if I can do it towards the end of the game. Let's move on.
Space Wolf, turn 3.
The Thunderwolves turned back, charged into the Warp Spiders, killing them, while the Sakaran put 2 hull points, 1 on each of the Warwalkers that he could see with his guns. And the Crusader blew the flyer out of the sky and blew that Venom that jinked with his battle cannon. He is discarding psychological warfare, but he did secure objective 5 and secure objective 3 for an extra 2 points, which brings the grand total up to 11 points to the Dark Eldar's 7. So we're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 4, and I have domination plus another couple of cards. So a lot of shooting saw 3 wounds on the Thunder Lord. He is alive with 1 wound remaining. The Warwalkers failed to do any damage in shooting and charging against the Sakaran, while the Mandrakes moved around back here, and the Knight made all its shield saves against the Lancers that I put up against it. And the reserves have arrived as well. So we're moving on to Space Wolf turn 4. They have hold the line, so they have to kill the Mandrakes and the Warwalkers to do it, and they have just pulled another 2 cards. The Thunderwolves charge in and kill the Warwalkers, while the Sakaran wasted its shots against the Mandrakes. He forgot they had stealth and shrouded. Also, this Crusader opened fire and laid waste, blowing up the Raider with the 1 penetrating hit that got through from the rocket pod, through the Knight shields and cover, exploded. Immobilized the Grotesque Raider, so they're sitting in the backfield, and forced the Ravager into jinking, but did no damage. So now moving on to Dark Eldar turn 5, and I have Kingslayer and Assassinate as my cards. And the Wolves have gained another point for a grand total of 12 to my 7. Let's see what we can do towards the end of the game. The Mandrake shot in and put 1 more wound in on the characters, no, 2 wounds, killing one of the characters. Then charged in. The Warlord passed all his armor saves and survived, so Kingslayer was not able. In return, all the Mendrix died. The army is moving completely forward, now trying to get a hold on the end of the game, while the Ravager failed to do any damage to the Sicarian after snap shooting with its guns. So we're moving on to Space Wolf turn 5, and they have hold the line, hold the line and secure objective 5, so they will be getting another 2 points this turn, and it could be the end of the game. Will the Dark Eldar be able to pull something out of a hat? We shall see. So hold the line was a success with 3 units and no enemy, thanks to the Servitor in the back. And we also had the Knight to move up, kill some warriors, kill some grotesques, kill a witch, and then charge in to finish off the Ravager that the Sicarian was unable to destroy. They have also secured objective 5 for a total of 14 points to the Space Wolves to 7 points to the Dark Eldar. And Sean will roll to see if the game continues on to turn 6. The game continues. Will there be redemption for the Dark Eldar forces? Tried to get Kingslayer, but he passed all of his saves, even with Venom and Cabalite Warriors with Splinter Cannons firing at him, but I did kill one more Thunderwolf. And then the Blaster that was here missed the Sicarian. Just trying to get a good bet on turn 7. I did manage to tie up the Knight in combat with the Witches. The Autarch took the strength 10 hits to the face and died horribly. And the Stomp did nothing. But I did put 2 hull points on it with Haywire grenades. And now moving on to Space Wolf turn 6. Let's see what they do. Space Wolf turn 6. The mighty Space Wolves. The Sicarian blew up the Venom. The Stomps actually did some damage, killed a lot of witches. There's one left tying up the Knight in combat, but she's probably going to die next turn. And they haven't gained any points this turn, but it's still sitting at 14 points to 7 in favour of... Well, no, 15 points now, because Warlord is dead, in favour of the Space Wolves. Will the game continue to a final 7th turn to rub it into the Dark Eldar? And it does not. The game is over. The Space Wolf Lord laughs at the Dark Eldar. Sean, great game. Thanks for it. Any final comments?
Well, first, that's how it's done, by the way, Matt. And I played with the Knight a few times now, and it's a fun piece, but it definitely does feel like a point and click. No real thought needed to it, just target priority. It's kind of a beast. Yeah. Loving the Sicarian. I think it's a fun piece, and Thunderwolves are always fun.
Yeah, Thunderwolves are fun. So stay tuned for the Tactical Corner. Go down below to the links. Check out the Patreon page, the blog, the Facebook page, all that good stuff, as well as the Tactical Corner. We'll talk a little bit about tactics this game. The reserve game for the Dark Eldar failed them this time. It's a risk that you have to take, and we will talk a little bit about that as well. All in all, thanks a lot for tuning in. This has been Skari, your grateful host, signing out. Till next time.
And welcome to another Tactical Corner. So, Maelstrom of War, Deadlock. One of the toughest missions against an army like an elite army that can win a battle of attrition. I decided to not deploy very many things, and this was because the overwhelming firepower that the Space Wolf army had with the Knight, the Long Fangs, and the Sicarian would have made short work of my transports, would have stranded me on foot, and the Thunderwolves would have then mopped up my remaining infantry with their strength 10 power fist attacks, mulching and making short work of the grotesques. So this was a gamble that I needed to make. My opponent was smart and picked the table side with 4 out of the 6 objectives. So early in the game, while my reserves were still coming in, He was collecting objective points like no tomorrow. And although I was able to scrounge a few here and there, he had pulled away to the lead towards the end of the game when the number of available objectives had decreased significantly, which meant that I was forced to keep a few tougher to get cards that could have paid off in dividends had I been able to kill his Thunderlord. So some good rolls towards the end of the game meant that he was then able to capitalize on the points that he had gathered and deny the Dark Eldar points later in the game. Now, the Dark Eldar reserves did play an important role. The one reserve that didn't come on when I wanted it to was the hard-hitting Grotesque unit, that then ended up getting stranded all the way in the backfield with a good-placed shot from the Imperial Knight Crusader. The Mandrakes performed admirably once again, creating some havoc in the backfield, and I was terribly close to completely annihilating the Thunderwolves. The Sakaran also proved to be a tough cookie to crack, even with the outflanking Warwalkers that could have dealt with it easily on the first turn that they would have arrived from reserve. All in all, Sean played a fantastic game, and it's no wonder that his army placed so well in the Michael Mudd Memorial Tournament. Make sure you check the links below for more information, lists, the Michael Mudd Memorial Tournament video, and of course check the Patreon page if you'd like to support the channel in the creation of content. Stay tuned, and I do appreciate you tuning in. Till next time, this is Skara, your grateful host, out.